Hello, bonjour, and welcome to our panel, Spotlight on Quebec and Canada. Meet the creators of Quebec and Canadian works at Venice VR Expanded 2020. This is the first part of the session today, and the second part is Get to Know SODEC, Canadian Media Film and Telefilm Canada. My name is Myriam Achard, and I'm Chief New Media Partnership and PR at FI in Montreal. As you might know, FI is one of the 15 cities in the world that is hosting the section Venice VR Expanded. We are really thrilled to be the host. It's been launched 2 days ago. It's going really well. We are almost sold out. So come and see us in Montreal if you're based in Montreal. So our session today, as I said, will be split in two. For the first 60 minutes, we are going to talk with artists, creators that have works in the Venice VR Expanded section. And then for the last 30 minutes, you will hear from Quebec and Canada funding agencies' representatives. I'd like to thank our sponsors, or I should say collaborators, for this session today, Telefilm Canada, Canadian Media Fund, SODEC, and FI. So let's get started. I'm going to introduce you all the panelists first, and then I'm going to interact with each of them separately. So here in Montreal, with me at FI, we have Francis Gélina, the director of In the Land of the Flabby Schnook, presented in world premiere. Katayoun Dibamer, producer of The Hangman at Home, world premiere also, but also producer of Minimum Mass. Bonjour, Katayoun. Bonjour. And we have Aina Frischmann, producer of Once Upon a Sea, presented in world premiere. Bonjour, Aina. So those are my friends with me in Montreal, but we also have friends connected in Toronto. We have Randall Okita, writer and director of The Book of Distance. Hi, Randall. And we have Pietro Gagliano, director of Agents, also presented in world premiere. Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody.
So I'd like to start with you, Francis, actually. We're going to watch your trailer first, and then we can chat a little bit.
And then these shadowy shapes emerge from the darkness. Stop! What? Don't you want to hear the story?
Yes, but how come you aren't afraid of the dark anymore?
Come on, now it's your turn. Hey!
So that was the trailer of In the Land of the Flabby Schnook, directed by Francis Gélina. So Francis, you came as a surprise. Nobody saw you coming. I cannot tell you how excited I was when I heard that a newbie coming to the XR family that was based in Montreal. His first VR piece was selected for Venice in world premiere in competition. Where are you coming from?
I have an animation company called Couleur.tv, like a translation, French translation from color.tv. I've been doing that for 15 years. I've worked with Moment Factory, with NFB, with some television in Montreal, in Canada. So I've been doing animation for all these years, stop motion, 2D, 3D. So this is my first film in VR, but I knew all the tools. Well, I'm going to put that
brackets.
Oh, yeah, between brackets, because I knew them, but it was more work than I expected, of course.
Francis, well, first, how does it feel to see your first VR creation being selected by this festival that is so prestigious, where normally we should be in Venice today? How does it feel?
Well, it's definitely flattering, but also an humbling experience to be featured amongst all these magnificent creations. Yes, I would have loved to be there in person, of course, but it's it's really interesting to meet all these people. Even now, we can do that virtually, of course, with the VR chat room. But no, it's amazing. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it to be that big too, either, because I didn't know a lot about it. But
And why did you choose to tell that story? You're telling it's a beautiful story. It's 6 minutes, I think, very touching. Why did you choose to tell that story in VR?
actually, I think there is a standard version of that film that exists, but to me, it's less interesting than the VR one because it was designed for VR. I wanted to explore what VR could offer, so I really created the film I would like to see, actually. I started, I have 4 kids, and I did a movie with my 2 firstborns a few years ago. Now I wanted to showcase my 2 younger kids. But so I had my characters, but after that, I created a world I wanted to see, basically. That's how the movie came to life. I called my friend, the writer, and we worked starting with images more than a plot, actually. Yeah.
So I didn't tell you that I would ask that question because I forgot to, but may I ask you how you financed it?
Unfortunately, I didn't. Well, as I told you, I have my animation company, so I used a bit of money from every project I could spare and kept my animators longer to work on the film. So it's basically auto-financed, and I've been working on it for the past 2 years, actually.
2 years.
I did a lot of stuff myself too.
Okay.
Actually.
And do you feel that now that you are part of this XR community, even, I mean, you met the people in Montreal that are part of this community, you haven't met the rest of the family. Are you going to come back with another, like, is it a first one and then there will be more VR projects, or you don't know yet?
I would definitely love to, actually. I know that I have work lined up for the following year, so I'm gonna have to to plan for the next ones. But definitely, I would like to use that experience as a stepping stone to do a bigger project. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Merci, Francis. Katayun, hello. So, as I said, Katayun has 2 pieces in the selection this year. She has The Hangman at Home. She also has Minimum Mass. We're going to speak about The Hangman at Home because it's a co-production between Canada, France, and Denmark. But,
exactly.
Yeah, but first we're going to watch the trailer.
Yes, please.
À quoi pense le bourreau lorsqu'il rentre chez lui le soir après le travail?
Beautiful, very moving. I had the chance to see the piece evolve. So Katayun, I know you've been working on that piece for a while.
Yes.
Can you please tell us a bit more maybe about the directors, but also about each producer involved and
Definitely. So the Hangman at Home VR, which is the first part of 3 different, format versions. We're still thinking about that. It's by Michel and Uri Kranot. They are well-established artists coming from animation background. They have a special kind of style in animation, and they've been doing that forever, 15 years, 20 years. They are well known with projects like Nothing Happens, which was premiered in Venice in 2017, Songbird, and they always have this kind of process of doing a short film of a project, short animation of the project, and then there's a VR component of the project. The project, as you said, is a co-production between Canada NFB, Marc Bertrand, which couldn't be here today, Floral Film, which I am part of with Avi Amar, based in France, Late Love Productions, which is like the main producer who initiated the project, based in Denmark, and as well we have another collaborator, Miu Productions, who took care of the animation film based in France. So we are like a couple of big kind of productions behind the project.
How was it to work with so many different people based in so many different countries, time zone?
Really challenging, but we have the chance of being a good team, and it went very good. Of course, premiering a project at Venice, it's always overwhelming. So there was times that it was getting very intense, but I'm very lucky to be surrounded with all the collaborators on this project. Everything is very smooth and very how do you say, good, challenging in good way.
Katayun, in the Venice VR Expanded program, it says it specified a single user experience. Does it mean that you're working on a multi-user experience?
So yes, so actually Venice never changed the name. So we are trying to have a specific name for each version that we are putting out. So the single user, actually the title is the Hangman at Home VR, which is launching at Venice. As I said, there is always the short film that is like the main component. The short film has never launched yet. We are working on a launch for 2020. And yes, there is a multi-user, which is the first time that they are, Michel and Uri are working on a multi-user aspect of virtual reality. We are designing the project to be experienced by 4 or more people at once. And there is a performative and installative part that is attached, and theatrical part that is attached to the experience. Of course, if there was a Venice, physical Venice, we were going to go with the launch of this, of the multi-user experience. But for now, with the pandemic and COVID, we are kind of putting a pause on the multi-user and just trying to see what's going to happen out there for a launch on 2020.
Okay. Do you want to say a quick word also maybe on the other piece you have in Venice, even though it's not related to Canada, but I think Minimum Mass is a beautiful piece and it deserves a little bit of
Thank
explanation.
you. Yes. So Minimum Mass, made by Raki Sayed and Areto Echeverria, American New Zealand artist based in Wellington, New Zealand. It's a beautiful project. When I talk about this project, I always see, if you know A24 distribution, so this is kind of an example of A24 distribution examples in virtual reality. They are as well in as part of the competition, and we are happy to have them as well.
Thanks, Katayun. So now we're going to be transported to the Dead Sea. We're going to watch the trailer, and then after that, I'm going to speak with Aina Fishman, producer of the Dead Sea. Producer of Once Upon a Sea.
6 years ago, following a battle with psoriasis and arthritis, I decided to move to the Dead Sea. It was only once I was in the water that I was able to straighten out my body. Nothing feels closer to being in the womb of the earth than soaking in the spring at the Dead Sea.
In 1994, the first sinkhole appeared. Slowly, the sinkhole started progressing towards my home. They told me, "You know you have to leave." I said, "Yes, I know. But guys, I lived here my whole life."
As a geologist, as somebody who very connected to this area, to try to find solution to the problem of the sinkholes. Investigating this phenomenon is a crucial matter. We have to find solutions.
So with us today, Aina Fishman, producer of Once Upon a Sea. Aina, you produced I don't know how many films, how many documentaries. Am I right? This is your first VR production?
Yes, it's not my first interactive production, but it is my first VR production.
Okay. How did it go? How was the production? You have a team based in Montreal. There's a team in Israel.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's really interesting because probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I made an actual documentary film about the Dead Sea, and which was starting to had been shrinking for many, many years. And I met Nimrod Shanit and Adi prior to their pitch, probably about 4 months before their pitch at IDFA. And I thought, wow, what a great idea. This is a part of the Middle East that's disappearing. It's gorgeous. To create a VR experience, and I'd seen a lot of VR up until that point, I said to create a VR experience would be absolutely spectacular because you could take a user somewhere where they would not be able to go. And for me, that's what VR is all about. I produce mostly feature documentaries, and there are VR documentaries, of course, and I've seen a lot of 360 films. Not every story, makes sense for VR, and I felt quite strongly that this one did. And it just so happened that about a year later, the CMF and the Jerusalem Film Fund came up with an international incentive for digital media. And we applied and we got the funding, and it enabled us with the Bell Fund and with the SODEC tax credits and other money in Israel to actually put this project together. So, it's an interesting documentary, VR documentary, because we combine photogrammetry and 360 videos. So you get to experience, parts of the Dead Sea you would not otherwise be able to. Plus you have the human voices of people who, either really rely on the Dead Sea, have been living there for many years and have seen the demise of the Dead Sea, or are activists who are trying to save the Dead Sea.
I mean, I watched it yesterday. Beautiful images. Of course, you want to go there, and well, I probably won't be able to travel for a little while. But I felt really okay. This could be a next, next trip, for instance. Aina, as I said, first VR piece. Are you going to make more? Did you get hooked somehow?
I did get hooked. I mean, it was a very, of course it has many elements that you have in classic documentary. We had a cinematographer, but of course all the shooting is very different. And the post, you have sound design, you have editing, but it's stitching. And yes, but I think it's really important that when we decide to embark on these projects, that we say, okay, this makes sense in VR because we're giving the user, the audience, a very different experience than a movie can. So yes, I'd love to, but it really depends on the story. Yeah. Not every story is suited to VR.
Well, I personally think that each creator should ask itself before going into VR, why am I doing that in VR? Is it the right medium?
Absolutely, and I feel that way too.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, my friends in Montreal. we're going to move to Toronto now. Hello, Toronto.
Hi.
So Pietro, we're going to start with you. Pietro, am I right that it's your second presence in Venice? You've worked on a piece called The Great Sea that was
Yes.
shown a couple of years ago in Venice, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, 2 years ago, with my work at Secret Location, I was the executive creative director on a piece called The Great Sea that premiered in Venice as well.
Okay, so your piece, Pietro, is called Agents. It's presented in competition, co-produced with National Film Board of Canada. And I want to say hi to David Oppenheim, who I think really was a very collaborator with you. We're going to watch the trailer. You're going to start it, and then we're going to chat a little bit.
Sounds good. I'll just work my way through sharing my screen here and get the trailer going. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll start it.
I love a dynamic film, Pietro. This is great. So I remember we spoke actually exactly a year ago in Venice. We were sitting together on the VR island, and you told me about the project with so much enthusiasm, and I was so thrilled when I saw that it was in competition this year for you, for the team. So your project, Pietro, is highly interactive, if I may say so, dynamic also. Can you maybe, I mean, the viewer has a lot of agency, no pun intended. Can you please maybe explain to the people that haven't tried or seen it, like what they are asked to do?
Yeah, for sure. And Miriam, I love how you see it as lots of agency, because we're trying to really explore the full spectrum of you can be very observational and have almost no agency, and the film will unravel on its own. And just even your presence changes the film's trajectory. Or you can have lots of agency. You can really lean in and interact with these little creatures that live on a planet, who are driven by artificial intelligence. So that's the premise of the film. There's these little creatures that live on this planet, and you can interfere with them as much or as little as you like.
So like I could do it, and I could stay in it for, let's say, 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes, and then somebody else could stay in forever. Is that correct?
It will almost go on forever. There is a certain point where there's a particular ending where it will just end the film, but it is very difficult to get that far. So yeah, the film loops onto itself. So as you mentioned, Miriam, you can have a 5 to 10 minute experience of it's kind of designed to be these little short films, these little stories that are different with each viewing, and those loop onto themselves. So you go from planet to planet, having these little emergent narratives happen, and you can stay in it for a very long time, or you can get a 5 to 10 minute experience and hopefully be satisfied with that as well.
It's a lot of fun. It's beautiful. Visuals are amazing. I've seen people here at the Phi Center in Montreal, they wanted to stay in the world. They didn't want to leave. So it works.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
And finally, I'd like to introduce Randall Okita, writer and director of The Book of Distance, also co-produced with NFB, also David Oppenheim involved. Hi, David, again. Randall, we're going to watch the trailer first, if you'd like, and then we can chat a little bit.
That sounds great.
As a contribution to the widespread discussions of what lies ahead, the CBC presents John M. Ewing.
What I am setting out to discuss tonight is the problem of the Japanese in Canada. Japanese traditions are so wholly unlike our own, and in many respects so antagonistic to our own, that many generations must pass before they are extinguished. Even a single family, when it cannot be completely absorbed into the surrounding Canadian community, will cling to its Japanese language and traditions. The Japanese communities must be so broken up as to be completely eliminated.
Randall, I don't know if you remember, I mean, I've seen the piece in Sundance last January. Sundance seems like ages ago. I came out of your piece in tears. I was very moved. It is beautiful. It's been since Sundance. It traveled to digitally to many festivals because we didn't have any physical festival after Sundance. Do you want to say maybe a few words to explain what it is about?
Sure. Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for having us, and nice to see everybody here. The story is about my journey to know more about my grandfather's story, his journey to Canada, his experience of state-sanctioned racism and rebuilding his life afterwards. You know, it's about my understanding his hopes and dreams, and it's very much about the moments that we don't know about. You know, there are facts and dates that I am aware of, and then we also embraced this notion of you know, the details that we don't know of, whether you know, for reasons of erasure or for shame, and me trying to sort of fill in some of those blanks along with the audience.
Did your family see the piece, Randall?
They have, yeah. You know, and it's yeah, it was a very powerful experience. My sort of, you know, there's a virtual version of me that I, you know, sort of play a narrator and a guide in the film, and along with my father, you know, this sort of narrative spine in some ways are these conversations with my father about his father. And so when I finally was able to show him you know, the completed piece, it was a powerful moment.
I mean, I remember when you and David came to Montreal to FI. I want to say like I feel it's like 5 years ago, or maybe a bit less. How long have you been working on that piece?
Yeah, it was quite a while in development and a lot of iterations. I say sort of maybe 2 years of work spread out over 4 or 5.
Well, beautiful again. Very, very moving piece. So 5 works from Quebec and Canada in Venice this year. This is quite impressive, I want to say. Yes, exactly, Pietro. Congrats to everybody. Unfortunately, none of us is in Venice. Some of you were there in the past. And now it's really like I open to discussion between all of us. Like, how does it feel to be here in Montreal, knowing that your piece is seen in, as I said again earlier, like there's 15 satellite spaces in the world that is showing the programming in physical spaces. If you have the gear that's needed, you can watch it at home. How do you feel about that? Apart from the fact that you all would like to be in Venice today.
Well, I went to Venice last year, the film festival, for the first time, and I loved the experience of the VR island. But I have to say, knowing that audiences, a public from 15 different places around the world will have access to our work for a short period of time is really exciting too. It's a rethink of festivals even, and how do you make a festival like Venice accessible to a wider audience, and then hopefully build that so more people can see it. So as much as I would love to be in Venice, of course, all of us would, I think this is very interesting that they've done this. And the Centre Phi, of course, is the only space in Canada, and it was, I think, the right space here. So thank you very much for showcasing our work.
Well, for sure, having live feedback would have been nice. That's the thing maybe that we're all missing, but there's been a lot of effort made, well, and Centre Phi too, of course, but to host it virtually. So hopefully, because it has just started, but hopefully we will have some feedback from peer to peer. But yeah, would have loved to see it.
Yes, I think like having been in Venice, I think you still miss that part, being in Venice and exchange with people. But of course, you have this possibility of going to the best places in the world and exhibit your piece, which is beautiful.
Well, I think what Michel Reyac and Lise Rosenthal, the curator of Venice VR Expanded, did with this expanded is, as Aina said, like I think it's only the beginning. Even though hopefully we're going to be in Venice next year physically, these satellite spaces will stay. Why don't you have a satellite space in Toronto?
Yes.
Oh,
We're working on it.
Everyone's welcome to my basement here to come on over. I might have to clear that with my wife.
They're going to be lining up around the block, you know that.
Uh-oh. Watch out, everyone.
So did you, I mean, you were here at the Phi Center, so you've seen some of the pieces already. Randall, Pietro, have you seen some of the works? Were you able to, I mean, I guess you have the gear that's needed to do so. Were you able to see works?
Yeah, I've been diving in and trying to peruse a little bit of work daily. I think this adaptation of the festival and the presentations is really inspiring, and I really love the combination of virtual accessibility and also these satellite spaces where people can gather physically and experience it, especially if they don't have access. I think this will be something that's going to carry on into the future of festivals and presentations, and I love the willingness of the festival to adapt in this way. It's pretty inspiring, and I love seeing the new work.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is setting a new precedent for accessibility and sharing of content. And my favorite thing about this year's festival, although nothing will replace, going to Venice and, being on VR Island, it's a beautiful experience, obviously. But the taste of the metaverse that's obviously coming, and seeing all these people with different avatars and exploring the virtual space, it's been a real, that's been a real experience that we'll tell our grandkids about someday.
I think our internet connection is a bit unstable, so we missed a little bit of what you said, Pietro, but I think we got most of it.
It was good.
So I'd like to hear you maybe today, for you to speak about what's coming for you, what kind of projects. I'm really curious, and of course, for me as a programmer, always happy to hear right at the beginning. You guys are working on projects that could be selected, let's say, I don't know, is it for Sundance or next year Tribeca or even ITFA in November? Are you ready to speak about that?
Go ahead. Well, I just wanted to talk about the project that we have in gap financing this year, Nefele by Alexander Perez, which is in early development. Of course, we have another project that we are collaborating with Anagram. This is a great news. It's an Oculus for Good project, Goliath, that we just hop on the project a couple of months ago. And yes, projects are always there, but the question mark is what's going to happen to the festivals, because of course at the end of the day, having a physical exhibition, people taking the time really go to the projects, it's always the question. So there is still the question of where the festivals are going.
You guys in Toronto, do you have you want to speak about upcoming projects, or is it too early for you?
Pietro, you go ahead.
I mean, we're still just finishing up the tail of production on Agents to release it to the public, even the next couple of weeks. So we're putting it out there for public consumption before the end of September. So our plan is to actually get it out into the world and then do some continue with the festival circuit. And then, we're just focused on combining different types of artificial intelligence to pursue dynamic content creation. So that'll be our next several projects, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to add to that. I mean, I think that this for Once Upon a Sea is just the beginning, and we've always wanted this project to have a long tail, perhaps add stories from different parts of the riparian countries, Palestine and Jordan, and also get it out to the public, both in the Middle East and around the world. So I think, the next year is going to be spent doing that, doing, versions of it. We're doing 360 web series as well, and really putting a lot of effort, like one festival is fabulous, but there's a lot to build on, as we know. Especially because we have a call to action as well to save the Dead Sea.
True that.
For my film, In the Land of the Flabby Schnook, the film is about fear of the unknown and how the unknown is not as much frightening once you know it. So far the film is 3D OF, meaning that you are witnessing the film, but you can't interact with it. But it would be interesting to develop the film or the universe actually into interactive version where the user can also apply that to himself, be scared or interact and with the world. So it's a possibility.
Randall?
Yeah, I think, similar to a lot of what people are saying, I feel like it's just the beginning and we're planning a wide release in October, and I'm so curious to see what that will be like, in the new normal, and to see how the medium itself is developing, and to see how the public receives it after the festival run. But I will say, I'm very much in love with the possibilities of the medium. Like was mentioned earlier, it has to be the right story for the medium. But I'm very excited to, I've got a few things in the works.
Too early to speak about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a great segue, I think, to speak about the medium, VR. We know that since the pandemic, VR headsets are sold out. Like, it's really hard for the public, for normal public, to buy VR headset. Do you guys think that this is the beginning of what we've all been waiting for, that VR can finally become domestic and enter people's home? I would like to hear you about that.
Personally, I'm skeptical. My guess, and I'm probably the one who knows the most, who knows the less about VR than all of you experts here. But my guess, for me, well, I'm equipped, of course, to work on my film at home. But if it was to become a thing in my family, it would have to be something we can all share together. And I think we're not there yet. But because like watching a film with my family is something we do. But VR, you're isolated. So I think it's the thing that's going to make it more democratic. I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, Francis. I think we are still a little bit still far for it to be used by general public, but hopefully I think we have to see next year we're going to have much more concrete
numbers, maybe?
Yeah, results about that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think that people are certainly watching more at home than they ever have. I mean, people are not really going to cinemas, even though they're open. So the question is VR part of that new trend? And when the pandemic, when the vaccine is found, will things reverse themselves? I mean, we don't know. Like, I think it's a good 18 months before we see the impact. But we hope that more people will be interested, of course.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm curious because I did a static film, so I guess technology-wise, it's going to be watchable for a long time. Hopefully, I did it in higher frame rate and higher resolution than what we can do right now. So hopefully, it'll give me a bit of time. But for all the interactive pieces, how do you guys see the longevity of the film? At some point, you're going to have to do more coding or adapt it to new mediums because it's still so new.
I think those are like great questions for everybody, but maybe I'd like Randall or Pietro to weigh on that.
Yeah, I think, it's the double-edged sword of working in a medium that's so new. I mean, we certainly had conversations about that, and we did our best to future-proof the work, anticipating what's going to happen. But yeah, that's part of the fun, I think. Seeing things develop, along with the creative conversations of solving problems that, haven't been solved yet, creatively, in terms of, narrative, in terms of interaction, in terms of language with the user. You also have to figure out sort of what's coming next. But, I think of it the same as, shooting 35 millimeter, or like you said, higher frame rates than are feasible now, anticipating that things are going to continue to grow. Ultimately, I think also it's the story that will stand up over time. That's always the hope.
Yeah, I agree that storytelling is really the timeless element, regardless of the medium. And I've been doing interactive storytelling for a decade now, and there's always that friction of how long is your portfolio piece going to last based on the technology that you use to create it. But one of our goals with agents as an art piece is that we're using artificial intelligence, which is actually like training brains for the characters of the film. And beyond its release, we're hoping to continually add new brains for different character behavior, whether that's subtle or extreme. And so as a dynamic content creator, I'm excited about bringing that art form into this era where the film can continually evolve over time the more we update it.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for being with us today. I think, again, I just want to highlight the fact that Quebec, Canada has 5 pieces in Venice this year. This is amazing. Congratulations on all of you, really. Some of you are in competition, so we'll all be like on Saturday looking at the palmarès. Thank you for taking the time and sharing stories, information on your pieces. Pietro, Randall, thank you for joining from Toronto. We're gonna do a small switch or like changeover. I'm gonna invite Hélène Dumont and Nathalie Clermont to come on stage. I'm gonna invite you to leave the stage. Just give us a few seconds and we'll be back. So the second part of the session is dedicated to the funding agencies, SODEC, Téléfilm Canada, and Canadian Media Fund. And for you who are connected from from Europe, from Asia, from South America, from Africa. They're going to tell you a little bit more about how we can work with you in Quebec and in Canada. Stay tuned. We'll be back in, well, we're staying here, but we'll be back in 2 minutes. Randall, Pietro, thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Okay, we're back. We never left, but we're back. So as I said, now we're going to spend about 30 minutes or so talking about with funding agencies. So just I'll make a quick introduction. So with me in Montreal, we have Hélène Dumont, General Manager, International Affairs and Export at SODEC. SODEC being the Quebec funding agency. Bonjour Hélène. You have a microphone there. We have Nathalie Clermont, VP Programs and Business Development at the Canadian Media Fund. Bonjour Nathalie. And in Toronto, with a cat, we have Francesca Accinelli, Director. Sorry, Francesca.
Oh my God. Always.
So Francesca is Director of National Promotion and Communications. Hi, Francesca. Thank you for joining us from Toronto.
Hello.
So the goal is really, and after that, I'm not talking, you are taking the floor, is to have the three of you explain what Quebec, what Canada have to offer to international producers that want to work with us in the immersive sector. In the selection this year, we had Hangman at Home, which is a co-production. We had Once Upon a Sea, which is a co-production. We had, well, Agency is NFB, and so it's more Canada. So we had two pieces, which is good. Francesca, I think we're going to start with you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm not with you. I miss my friends. I miss my friends in Montreal. So first, Miriam, thank you so much for organizing all of this today, and to everyone at the Centre Phi for hosting. For those of you watching that don't know who Telefilm are, Telefilm Canada is a cultural government agency dedicated to developing, financing, and promoting the audiovisual industry here in Canada. And we also are dedicated to ensuring that all voices, all Canadian voices, have an opportunity to tell their story and to access funding. And though our primary focus is financing of feature films, we work very hard, along with my cat, we work very hard with festivals and markets around the world who offer creators access to global recognition. And the Venice International Film Festival has been one of those partners for 17 years for us. And I'd be remiss, I know this is about VR projects, but I'd be remiss without sharing the fact that we're very proud of the Canadian presence. We have two co-production films in competition, Pieces of a Woman and La Nuit des Rois, and closing film, Bruce LaBrousse's Saint Narcisse is the closing film for Venice. So there's a great Quebec representation as well. So it makes a lot of sense that you're in Montreal and we're celebrating all of this today. You just saw an incredible panel with so many talented Canadians that continue not just to work with each other in Canada, but Canada as a nation, we believe in collaborating with everyone around the world. And I'm eager to hear what Hélène and Nathalie will share on that. And the other part that we're also happy about is that we have projects in the Venice Gap Financing Forum, Clement Virgo's brother, and we have two VR projects co-produced. One is The Garden and the other is The Greatest Weight. And as I said, even though we don't focus on financing interactive digital media, for 2 decades, we have been one of the agencies to promote the importance of VR. And along with the Canada Media Fund, we actually were one of the first 2 agencies to showcase VR content at MIPCOM 2012. So we continue to be proud that Canada is a leader in innovative storytelling, that our creators can work in any medium to be able to make sure that their story is told in the format that best suits its needs. And I hope all of you watching know that, Canada, we want to be your partner of choice. We want to be the place that you come to work with our technicians, to work with our storytellers. virtually or otherwise, we are a great place to be, and we're great people to work with. And I'm actually going to now turn the floor over to my two colleagues who can actually speak much more directly about how we can work to help finance these projects. Hélène and Nathalie, over to you.
Thank you, Francesca. Well, I was about to say, I think it's the great
Good
segue
yeah.
for you, Natalie.
Merci. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello. Merci, Francesca. I won't repeat everything she said and how great we are, not her and me necessarily, but the Canadian industry at all, overall. So for those who don't know the Canada Media Fund, in fact, we are a funding agency financed by the Government of Canada in the cable industry here in Canada. And we support television project, but digital media project as well, whether they are linear, immersive, or interactive. We have a budget of 350 million around that each year, and approximately 12% of it, or 43 million, is dedicated to digital media, interactive or immersive. So it's a great pot of money. There's a lot of competition because there are great creators here in Canada who want to get financing to develop their project. And while we support Canadian content mainly, we for sure support co-production. And over the years, since 2014, we have developed what we call the International Incentive to stimulate the co-development and co-production of digital media, in particular, television a little bit, but digital media in particular. And we had great collaboration with Germany, Denmark, South Africa, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, just to name a few. Some are still active. I would invite you to look at our website and look at the UK partnership that we launched recently, which is a great opportunity for creative leads and creative producers to work together in Canada and to work with UK partners eventually in 2 different stages. In fact, you can apply as individual to follow a certain training on how to use the new technologies and VR in particular. And then from this cohort of people that are successful at phase 1, we will support few projects. I think around 6 projects, some at the prototyping stage, some at the production stage. So it's a great opportunity to look at it. The other one that is open right now, what it is, Germany just closed, as well as Northern Ireland. Luxembourg, in fact, sorry, is still open until the mid-October approximately. So it's really to stimulate co-production between the 2 countries. Other will be announced soon. So just make sure you follow our websites and you follow our newsletters so you can be aware of what's coming up. Year over year, we are supporting, in fact, we are supporting VR since 2013-14, the first one we received. And since that time, we have supported 155 VR or ER projects here in Canada, 15 of which approximately are co-production. So it's not bad at all, and we've invested $63 million in these projects. So there's a lot of talent here, but there's a lot of money too. So I think it's worth looking at Canadian partners for sure to work with. What we support through VR are games, obviously, VR games, AR games, or whatever type of games you can do with new technologies, as well as more immersive content, linear content for the platform, and some enabling software also, so people can work developing tools for themselves and for other producers or artists as well. So this is it in a nutshell.
Merci, Nathalie. For those of us who are watching maybe from other countries, the numbers that Nathalie gave are in Canadian dollars, so that you know. And also, Nathalie, do you know in the 5 works that are selected this year in Venice, like is the CMF involved in all of them,
No.
some of them?
We are involved in 2, for what I know, Once Upon a Sea that you saw this morning, and with the agency as well from Pietro. So the 2 of the, I don't think we are involved in the 3 others, but I can't wait to see them all, in fact.
Well, you have to come in here and see. So now we're going to speak with, Hélène Dumont from SODEC is going to maybe explain what, for co-producers who want to work with Quebec, what's available.
Well, the good news about Canada is that you can add what the federal is doing, plus the Quebec or provincial agency are supporting. So it's a very nice, we're really working in collaboration, and we are supporting often same projects, both in film, television, and newly for SODEC VR. SODEC is the designated Quebec organization charged by the government to support its cultural industries, including film, TV, book, music, and fine crafts. We have a long history of supporting Quebec culture. Our financial support for Quebec-based company, with the exception of tax service credit system, which is open to everyone. So we are newly in production. We have a program now that is, I think it's a year now, that is pretty new. We are supporting also for exportation and distribution. We have an innovative program, and which is more R&D, and we have also a special event called Atelier Grand Nord that I will speak about. So first of all, production support. We are supporting a short format narrative project, fiction or documentary, with linear or non-linear narratives. They can be interactive or immersive. We both consider creative and financial components of the project, the originality, the coherence of both artistic and financial levels, the coherence also of the identify target audience. We look for an engaging nature, potential to influence and elicit strong emotions, a strength of purpose and effectiveness of storytelling. We're really into the content, as you see. Construction of characters, their ability to arouse strong emotional identification, feasibility and innovation on the technological approach, and the degree of user participation and the experience of the producer. We get involved once a demo or prototype has been completed. And we can support co-production, majority and minority, but please note that the foreign minority financing must have been in place like at 50% target for the co-production minority with Quebec. Our support is in the form of a grant, and our contribution for a project is capped at 115 Canadian dollar, which is about 75,000 euros. We have 2 submission deadline a year, and we're supporting so far 4 to 6 projects. As I said, it's a pretty new fund, so we hope to extend it eventually. We have an innovative new program that supports R&D, so on the technology side or in the language exploration, and that's very brand new, but it's for Quebec, especially companies. We're managing as a government representative the provincial tax credits. There's 2 kinds. There's the Quebec production tax credit and the Quebec production service tax credit. So the Quebec production tax credit ranges from 14 to 20% of the Quebec labor portion, which can be up to 50% of the production cost. But there's a top-up on special effects, animation, and for regional companies. We also have a very competitive Quebec production service tax credit, which can be accessed by a Quebec service company. And the minimum budget requirement is $250,000, which is about 160,000 euro. It's all expenses and that are eligible to the credit, and the rates is 20% with some top up again on special effects, computer animation, green screen work in Quebec. We are also finally supporting my division, international division, exportation. We maintain a significant presence in all the major markets. We should be in Venice right now. And we offer direct financial support to our producers for their participation, if they could, in most festival and market events. Finally, I will speak to you really briefly about Atelier Grand Nord XR. In January, we will be having the 5th edition of our Atelier Grand Nord XR workshop, which is based on our very popular feature script development program that is Atelier Grand Nord, that is going to celebrate its 18th birthday in January. But it's more than an atelier. It's more of a focus think tank or an incubator. And we're working from our experience of building a creative environment for traditional screenwriters. We try to offer what we think is a unique opportunity for participants to discuss their projects with international experts, to challenge a reflection on the work, I'm getting there, and to promote the circulation of ideas and points of view, while of course making key potential contacts for work and future production and co-production. That's 5th edition is going to be online from February 1st to 26th, and it's in 2021. We invite 8 French-speaking team with projects in development from France, Belgium, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and Quebec. And this year, we hope to welcome a team from French-speaking Africa. And we produce this event in collaboration with MUTEC, but also with the support of Canada Media Fund, the CNC in France, Filfond Luxembourg, Screen Brussels, Up Brussels, Cineforum and Training Foundation for Cinema and Audiovisual in Switzerland, National Film Board of Canada, and XN Quebec. If you have any question about SODEC offers or the Atelier Grand Nord or anything, please don't hesitate to check us out on our website. I don't know if I didn't plan that we don't have the website written. That's going to be super long. SODEC, SODEC.gouv.qc.ca, SODEC, SODEC. Find that, or you can find me on Cinendo. Thank you.
Francesca, Nathalie, Hélène, thank you very much. I'm sure like it was a lot of information, and you can go online on each institution website and you'll find the right person, the right contact to connect with. Oh, Hélène, I wanted to ask you, like, were you involved in some of the pieces that are Quebec pieces that are selected this year?
I don't think so.
No?
Maybe in co-production, I don't know. I didn't check.
It's okay.
But I don't think so. Not this year. It's pretty new. Huh? We have been...
True that. You're right.
Yeah, we have been our first deadline last fall, a new deadline this spring. So I think the project we've been supported are going to come up in front. But we'll be there next year for sure.
Physically
as well.
So as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, of opportunities to work with Quebec and Canada. We would love, I say we, but I think we as a community would love to find projects to work on as co-producers. I'd like to thank again Michel Rayac and Lise Rosenthal for this vision they had to host Venice VR Expanded in different cities, in 15 cities in the world. The Phi Center in Montreal is the only one in Canada. We're very happy about that. I think for the medium, for VR, it's great. It's democratizing the access to a virtual reality. Hopefully, we all be in person in Venice next year. We'll see about that. I'd like to thank again the sponsors, collaborators of the panel today, SODEC, Canadian Media Fund, Telefilm Canada, and FAI. And next year, 5 this year, who knows what's next year. Thank you for coming to the FAI Center, Hélène and Natalie. Francesca, thank you for connecting from Toronto, and see you soon. Merci.
Merci.
Merci, Myriam.